Very good evening, viewers. You're watching News Today at 9 p.m. I'm Preeti Choudhry. Let's quickly cut across to our big talking point this evening. The Election Commission has published the final voter list. Vote list revision still a poll issue in Bihar is a question we'll be taking. Also, Vijay has broken his silence, dares Chief Minister Stalin, calls it a conspiracy, asks who'll take responsibility. All of that coming up. All right, the latest news, viewers, coming right on top of this bulletin comes in from Chennai. Under construction building collapse in Ennore, Chennai. 9 dead, 5 injured. The cause of the accident yet to be determined, but what we can tell our viewers is that 9 people have been dead, declared in a building collapse in Chennai. 5 are injured, many still under the rubble. I want to quickly cut across to my colleague Pramod Madhav, who's joining us with the latest on this. Pramod, what more can you add to this news break?
It's very unfortunate, Preeti. Even before Tamil Nadu could recuperate from the early tragedy that occurred on Saturday, we have another tragic news, and this is from the northern part of Chennai, called as Ennore, where we have like multiple thermal plants, and in such one thermal plant construction, which is almost 70% over, for 2 plants over there to create 660 megawatts. There was a huge arch that was built where several migrant workers were also working. When unfortunately, one of the scaffolding that you see over there that caved in, causing this accident, and many workers got buried under the rubble, and they had to be rescued from there. But unfortunately, 9 people have died, and all the bodies have been moved to Stanley Government Hospital, along with many were injured who had also been rescued and taken over there. The department officials are on the spot. In fact, Radhakrishnan IAS is also there, currently monitoring the situation and making sure that those injured are getting the treatment. Preeti.
Pramod, thank you for joining us. We're going to continue to come back to you for more updates on the story. Viewers, tragic news coming in from Chennai, where 9 people are declared dead in a building collapse in Ennore. We're going to continue to keep a close eye on all developments there. With that, let's quickly move to the other set of news break that is filtering in. The Election Commission. All right, let's quickly move on. The Election Commission has finally published the final voter list. After conducting the Special Intensive Revision Exercise, the SIR in Bihar, the Bihar voter list has now shrunk by 47 lakh. 65.64 lakh names have been deleted in the first phase, 3.66 lakhs names deleted in the second phase. But there's been an addition of 21.53 lakh names that have been added in the second phase. Viewers, to give you, a figure, a cumulative figure, before the exercise of SIR was conducted in Bihar, the voter list stood at 7.89 crore. It's now shrunk to 7.42 crore. There has been a net change of 47 lakhs. It shrunk by 47 lakhs. Joining me right now is my colleague Aishwarya Paliwal, who's getting us up to speed with the latest coming in from the EC website, Aishwarya, that the Election Commission has published the final. There are no drafts from here on. This is the final voting list where Bihar is in question. What's also interesting to note as a backdrop that the final arguments in this case will be heard in the Supreme Court come the 7th of October. Aishwarya, what more can you add? Break down the list for us.
Well, Preeti, let me tell you, the next date to look out for, as you rightly pointed out, is 7th of October, because what we understand at the moment, we will see the Election Commission moving forward and asking the other states also to prepare for the SIR, because that's something that the Commission at the moment is very keenly looking at. And we have very crucial states, Preeti, coming up. The state of Tamil Nadu, we have the state of West Bengal, the state of Kerala. All of them have now been lined up for the SIR. And what will actually happen? The Bihar SIR actually will become a template of sorts. On the basis of this, we will see the SIR taking place in other states also. And you also rightly pointed out, Preeti, that we are seeing a reduction in the number of total voters, and this is exactly what the Election Commission also was saying, that you at the moment are looking at 65 lakhs. This is not the exact number, that was just the draft roll. We also have the next 10 days, just in case someone feels that his or her name should be in the list, but for some reason it's not there. A grace period of 10 days has been given. You can still raise the complaint, which means the next 10 days also are with the voters, just in case you go onto the website and you see see that with your epic number, your name is not there. You still have the next 10
Aishwarya,
days
do
to
we
make
have
sure that you speak
details
with the
yet?
CEO.
Because if you break down, you break down the figures that we've put out, we've seen a net change of 47 lakhs, so 47 lakh less voters compared to before what the exercise was. But do you have the details? The 65 lakhs which were there in the first stage, which were deleted, has there been a change in that? We've also been told that there have been an additional deletion of 3.66 lakhs and an addition of 21.53 lakhs. The 3.66 lakh deletion, under what name has it come in? Is it unfit to vote? Has any reason been given? Do we have any details? Does the figure of 65 lakh deletion plus 3.66 lakh deletion stand?
Well, Preeti, the maximum number are the people who have moved out, because that is exactly what SIR was all about. Also, a lot of people who actually have either moved out or have epic numbers more than one. So that is also something that the Election Commission looked at. A lot of people actually have multiple epic numbers. So that is something which came to the forefront. So those names have been deleted. A lot of people have moved on from Bihar. They are voting at other places, but at this place, the name was still there, and the majority are of the people who A, have turned 18 and B, are no longer, are actually dead. So this is the kind of breakup that we are seeing at the moment. That's why we are seeing the net total which comes out roughly at 47 lakhs.
All right, okay. Aishwarya getting us the latest here. So the Election Commission has given a 10-day grace period. If you're still not on the voter list and you think that you have all your bases covered in terms of paperwork and you need to be on that voter list, you have 10 days to register yourself. So that's the grace period. But to give the details to our viewers, what at least prima facie, what it looks like, that there has been a net decrease of 47 lakh. Before the exercise was conducted, the figure stood at 7.89 crores and now it stands at 7.42 crores. What have been the deletions? The micro numbers, we're going to continue to get you those in time to come. But the final arguments that challenges the exercise itself takes place in the Supreme Court come the 7th of October. All right, the latest, the Election Commission now completing the SIR Bihar's electoral rolls and has released the final voter list with significant changes that we detailed for you. Amidst Supreme Court scrutiny, 47 lakh names have been deleted in just 90 days. The move is bound to spark political discourse. With polls a month away, questions loom large. How fair is the revision? And what impact will it have, not just on Bihar's election this time, but there is Assam and West Bengal where the SIR will become deeply contentious.
The special intensive revision of electoral rolls in Bihar is over. The Election Commission on Tuesday published the final voter list. The Bihar voter list had 7.89 crore voters on June 24 when the exercise started. The draft list released on August 1st had 7.24 crore voters after deletion of 65 lakh names. The final list on September 30 has 7.42 crore voters. Citizens can check the Election Commission website to know if their names are on the final list. Anyone left out can still apply up to 10 days before the last date for filing nominations for election. The opposition Mahagathbandhan has reacted with caution while the Bcci has welcomed the SIR.
12,000 मतों का अंतर था एनडीए अलायंस और महागठबंधन के जो अलायंस था हम लोगों का, और उसमें कम से कम 10 सीटें ऐसी थीं जो हम लोग 1,000 से नीचे हारे थे। तो ये सब गड़बड़ियां तो हुई थी, उसको कोई डिनाई नहीं कर सकता, इसीलिए आशंका है कि पता नहीं इस बार क्या हुआ है।
इलेक्शन कमीशन ने अच्छा काम किया है। एसआईआर में उन्हीं के नाम डिलीट हुए हैं जिनका देहांत हुआ या जिन्होंने अपना नाम कटवा के दूसरी जगह नाम डाला, या कोई बांग्लादेशी हो तो उसका नाम डिलीट हुआ है।
Leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi had undertaken a 15-day voter Adhikar Yatra in the state against alleged voter list fraud. The yatra was hailed by the Congress top brass at the CWC meeting held in Patna. But since the yatra, a lot has happened. For instance, Prime Minister Narendra Modi rolled out a 10,000 rupees direct cash transfer to 75 lakh women. Now with the final voter list out and the pitch ready for the assembly elections, will the SIR remain as an election issue at all? With Maushami Singh and Aishwarya Paliwal, Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, at the back of it, the big questions that we are asking this evening, allow me to take you through those. Was Bihar SIR fair or unjust? Well, the arguments are still on in court. Bihar voter list revision now settled because the final draft has been, not the draft anymore, the final list has been published. Has the Election Commission addressed all concerns? Is roll revision still a poll issue? Let's take all these questions to our panelists this evening. Joining me, Manisha Prem, political analyst, Sanju Verma, national spokesperson on BJP, Anshul Abhijit, national spokesperson, Congress. All right, viewers, before we come to welcome all our guests this evening, I want to also, just to make things a tad bit interesting, give out certain figures that we discussed this evening with Dr. Manisha Prem, the political stock exchange there, where C-Voter as well as Vote Vibe have come up with some startling surveys on the eve of Bihar elections. I want to take you through two such figures and then we'll come back. Where what C-Voter found out on the eve of Bihar elections when it posed the question on the preferred chief ministerial candidate in Bihar. Viewers, I want to quickly give up that information and we'll cut across to our guests. Who is the preferred chief ministerial candidate in Bihar? That question was posed to the voters, the respondents, and this is what they answered, viewers, and the figures right on your television screen. Tejasvi Yadav has been tracked from February all the way to September. February, he stood at 40.6%. He settled at about 35.5%, which the RJD really wouldn't mind. What would seem tad worrying here is Nitish Kumar, 18.4%, settled now at 16%. Won't be too happy with that. Interesting, Samrat Choudhry, 8.2%, began in February, rose up to 12.5%, his best in April, but right now 6.8%. All of that in the backdrop of corruption charges leveled by none else than Prashant Kishore. And look at that figure on your television screen where Prashant Kishore comes into question. Prashant Kishore has seen a steady, some would suggest a dramatic rise from February all the way to September, where Prashant Kishore from 14.9% starting in February has ended at 23.1%. He'd be happy with that. But if you break it down, and that's our other figure, does his party track as much as Prashant Kishore? Not quite. All right, with all of that, let's cut across right now to our three panelists. And Manisha Prem, I want to begin with you because for a moment, let's reflect on the final list that has been published by the Election Commission of India. Before the SIR started, the voter list stood at 7.89 crores of Bihar. There has now been clearly a net change of minus 47 lakhs, standing at 7.42 crores. The micro changes yet to be defined by the Election Commission on whether the 65 lakh deletion still lasts, which will add 3.66 in the second phase itself. How many voters have added, on what grounds have the deletions been made? Those details still, the EC needs to be addressed. But net, Manisha Prem, do you see now with the exercise being concluded, final list being published, the entire controversy settled, or do you think it's going to continue as we get closer to Bihar?
So at this point, we have numbers, and remember, when a certain political fact transforms itself into a numerical format, it lends itself to statistical analysis, and that analysis will continue to chase, dog, tail the numbers that have come. The first observation, as you can see, is that of the shrinking of the electoral voter base. Now, that by itself, to any person who analyzes it purely from the point of view of numbers, would seem like a conundrum. Because here is a state that should have had a larger population of the youth, but that shrinking, but one needs to then know what are the reasons for this shrinkage, or what are the categories of those who've been excluded. This list will yield itself to be analyzed from the point of view of what in economics is known as the error of exclusion. That may not be an error here, but it will have to be explained as to who have been excluded. And certainly from what we understand, that these exclusions are not because there were ghuspetiyas or, whatever those categories of ghuspetiyas are. That's not the reason. Perhaps the reason is because there's been a lot of palayan or migration. Now you will see that the political stock exchange earlier in the evening and the deletions will kind of be synonyms to each other when we are saying that palayan and unemployment because of lack of jobs is an issue in the elections, and palayan or migration for jobs is the reason why you're excluded. So you will find these mirroring. Now those who have left will perhaps be coming home now for the important festival of Chhath. Then the second question that will come is that for the Bihari, was this a very good time to go in for this? Because the people who migrate to work are the young and able-bodied. Now these are the social and political facts of analysis that can be done only once we are able to categorize this list, but it will need to be seen that way. And I may conclude by saying that one will still ask whether more women have been excluded or not, because with the draft that was a question that was there. Remember, women don't migrate, and if they have been, I don't know whether they have been, because that analysis is not available at the moment. If they have been, that might need to be seen minutely still to allow for inclusion. Remember, women have various restraints and constraints because of which they are not able to come out to public offices in the way in which men are.
Fair point.
And poor and backward societies find it even more restraining for their women. Yeah.
Just before I, get on to a political and spokespersons, I want to put it out there that the Election Commission has given a 10-day grace period, viewers. 10-day grace period. If you're going to log on to the Election Commission website, you don't find your name in the final voter list, you still have 10 days to address that concern. I want to give that information out, and I want to cut across to Sanju Verma this evening. Sanju Verma, the fact is the micro-detailing needs to be done by the Election Commission on the final list. Right now, what we know, net, is that there has been a net change of minus 47 lakhs, which is 47 lakhs lesser than when the exercise began. Now, the only detailing that has been given is the additional deletions. And one assumes that the 65 lakhs still stands. And the additional deletions, which is 3.66 lakhs, come under the header of illegible to vote, that they can't vote. Now, what is the reason? We don't quite know. Were they infiltrators? Were they migrants? We don't know. How many women? We don't know. Does the figure of 65 still stand, or have there been deliberations in that with many people coming in and making sure that their names were on the deletion, were not on the deletion list? Lots of questions, because in the backdrop, Sanju Verma, institutionalized vote theft charge is still going to be at play. Now the Gathbandhan will come and say, see, 47 lakh vote ki chori hui hai.
Okay. Preeti, that was a rather lengthy question. But be that as it may, first and foremost, congratulations on a highly successful India Today conclave, where, you were ruling the roost for more than one reason. I just want to make a couple of... Thank you. I want to make a couple of very quick points, Preeti. When the SIR exercise started on the 24th of June this year, the total number of voters in Bihar, as per the Election Commission data, was 7.89 crore. By 20th July 2025, data was shared with booth-level officers of various political parties, with EROs, DROs, etc., by the Chief Election Commissioner and his team. But the moot point is that on the 1st of August, a draft list was published. In the draft list, the total number of voters stood at 7.24 crore. Now, if you compare the draft list of August 1st and look at the final voter list, subject to checks and balances, which has been published on the 30th of September today, 30th of September 2025, the final list stands at 7.42 crore. So if I have to compare today's list with 1st August, I can say with full confidence, 21.53 lakh voters were added, 3.66 lakh voters were deleted. That is my point number one. So compared to the draft list, there is actually a net addition of 21.53 lakh voters, point number one. Point number two, the Election Commission has said that even these 3.66 lakh voters who've been declared ineligible, in the next fortnight, they have every right under Section 24 of the RPA Act of 1950 to file a first appeal with the relevant district magistrate and a second appeal with the CEO, as in the Chief Election Commissioner's office. So like I said, for all practical purposes, there has been a net addition. As of September 30th, there is a minor deletion of number of voters, but even that, if there are people who are willing to file an appeal with the district magistrate's court, then the law accordingly likewise will take a turn and eligibility or non-eligibility will be
as
decided
as I bring in Anshul Avijit. Sanju Verma, which it's a question I'll circle back to you on. How is minus 47 lakhs a minor deletion? Many would suggest it's a massive deletion, despite of those dead, despite of the migrant, everything coming in. So I don't see that as a minor deletion, but there has also been an addition of about 23 lakh voters. And Anshul Avijit, somewhere down the line, does it also take away from the charge of institutionalized vote theft of the opposition?
No, this is a larger, more composite charge. It's not just about this election, SIR, which was held in highly suspicious circumstances. A short amount of time was given, onerous number of documents that were asked. I mean, imagine the irony of asking for a metric certificate in a place where, primary schools are just lying, the walls have collapsed. Imagine that irony. Look, that doesn't change. This is a more serious charge. It's a composite charge. It's a charge that says that the Election Commission has been severely compromised on the behest of the ruling party. We know that many of the institutions have been taken over by that party, which is acting as some form of a puppeteer. We've given proof after proof. Rahul Gandhi ji has held press conference in which proof has come out. I mean, first there was a charge that you're not coming out with anything. These are empty allegations. Why don't you come out with substantial proof? We've done that. This will continue. This has to be studied in more greater detail. Let me tell you, let me bust one bogey about infiltrators, which also was mentioned earlier. And Aishwarya also pointed out that many of the deletions seem to have been about those who went out of the state, not those who were coming in. So the bogey of infiltration repeatedly pressed on to communalize and
fair point. Because even in the earlier on the 65 lakh deletions, it wasn't under the pretext of illegal of infiltrators.
But that didn't deter the politicians from the BJP.
Allow me, all three of our panelists, allow me to get just dive in very quickly on the other set of data that we had from the political stock exchange. We've just pulled out some interesting figures from that. We gave you the figures of the preferred chief minister. And interesting because you've seen a sharp rise for Prashant Kishore, a stagnation of possibly Tejasvi Yadav, and a fall for Nitish Kumar. Preferred Prime Minister phase where Bihar is concerned. It's interesting because you pull out two figures of the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, and Rahul Gandhi. And the Congress would be a tad happy with that figure because it's the first time that you've seen Rahul Gandhi actually touch the 40% mark on that tracker from all the way down to February. Possibly the aftermath of the Vote Adhikar rally. The Prime Minister marginally has decreased in terms of popularity in Bihar. The figures right there. Let me give you the other set of figures. Biggest issue in Bihar elections was one such data set that was keenly been studied, especially in the recent past, especially with charges of the opposition and the MGB, Mahagathbandhan, of vote theft. A quick deep dive on what were the biggest issues in Bihar elections. And this set of data was from VoteVibe. Let's give out those graphics there. The biggest issues in Bihar elections. And it's interesting, unemployment migration still holds #1 spot, 38.4%. Vote chori. The Mahagathbandhan would be glad. They seem to be registering with at least 15.7% of the respondents on vote chori. Corruption, 13%. You had Prashant Kishore in the recent past pull up issues of corruption, especially where some BJP leaders were concerned. Education, health, liquor ban are the others. Let's quickly get into two other sets of data. All of this is taking place, viewers, in the backdrop of one question of direct cash transfer to women. Because 10,000 rupees direct cash transfer under a government scheme has apparently been made to 75 lakh households, even though this particular survey has taken place before the first installment to 75 lakh families has gone of 10,000 rupees. Yet, will continue to vote for MGB. If you receive 10,000 under government scheme, how would you vote? 34.9%. Continue for the Gathbandhan, 34.8%. Continue for NDA. So that's pretty much even. 11% say we'll vote Jan Swaraj. Will shift vote from others to NDA. 5.8% say yes, we'll shift vote from others to NDA. And this figure has been recorded before this first installment or to the installment in 75 lakh households was made. Opinion on graft charges by Prashant Kishore against Netas. Corruption has found itself resonating at the third most important issue, and 50%, 5 out of 10 people in Bihar, respondents, feel that it will negatively impact the government, which is the NDA. Let's quickly get in one more question. Impact of AI video of Prime Minister and his mother. If, viewers, you remember that the Congress had made an AI video at the back of being charged of insulting Prime Minister's mother, and then the BJP made it a highly emotive issue, but it doesn't seem to be resonating on ground. No electoral impact, 5 out of 10. Respondents feel that it will not have any impact. 22, though, 0.5% say that will emotionally charge the workers of the NDA. Let's take all these questions once again to our panelists. Manisha Priyam, you were there with us at 7 p.m. Of the number and the data sets that we've just given out at 9 p.m., what surprises you the most?
I'm not very surprised, but I do think that from the data on the leadership issue, Prashant Kishore's rise is what really surprised me, because it does tell us one thing, that the Bihar election is not a settled issue. The voter is thinking, and here's a person with a startup. Nobody knows how many candidates he has for how many seats, but if the people surveyed here seem to be saying that this one is someone we would like to see as a political leader, which means people are making up their mind, those figures are changing. Nobody can see this as a game which is done and dusted. The second most important point, and that one doesn't surprise me, is that unemployment and migration, related to unemployment, of course, Palayan, are turning out to be very important issues. Remember, in Nepal, the figures were as high as 20%, and the Bihar government claims that the unemployment is at an all-time low of only about 10%. So this coming up in voter perceptions is something that a claim that the government has put forward, and the government should have been seemingly very comfortable saying we've done a lot to reduce unemployment. But if this comes up, then that's something as an issue that will continue to challenge this electoral process. So I would say the political leadership question and this issue of unemployment, the claims of the government versus the voter perception, are very strong issues. I would also say Rahul Gandhi picking up in his figures there, being accepted somewhat, but the Bihari voter is saying not for Bihar, but for a central level election, they could consider Rahul Gandhi in a distant future. So Rahul Gandhi picking up some trust from the people, but not for the moment. Yeah.
Well, not for the moment. I just want to put up the preferred CM candidate, and I want to bring in Sanju Verma into this conversation. Sanju Verma, if you just look at the figures there, though I want to, for a moment reflect, Dr. Manisha Priyam, on what you said about Prashant Kishore. Prashant Kishore is seeing an impressive rise, but the question also comes to, does Jan Swaraj, his party, see the same amount of rise? That's not quite reflecting, because if you look at the figures there, it does say only 11% will vote for Jan Swaraj, while the MGB and the NDA have a figure of 34.9 and 34.8%. So yes, Prashant Kishore is hugely popular. He's tracking, but his party's tracking is the big question. And Sanju Verma, even if you look at these figures there, it will worry you, Sanju Verma. Samrat Choudhry, of course, you haven't declared him as a chief ministerial candidate. You're fighting this election under Nitish Kumar. But if you put Nitish Kumar together, you put Chirag Paswan together, you also put Samrat Choudhry together. The three NDA faces up against just the two of Tejasvi. And of course, Prashant Kishore will cut into both, which is the Gathbandhan and the NDA. Yet you don't match up.
Question, please give me time. And I'm starting with a disclaimer. Please do not get offended, because when I say journalist, I don't mean necessarily you. I'm now used to journalists telling me prior to Haryana elections, they said, Sanju Verma, BJP is going to be wiped out. The Jats no longer support the BJP. Ahead of Maharashtra elections, same journalists used to tell me, Sanju Verma, the Marathas don't like Devendra Fadnavis and they don't like Eknath Shinde. You guys are going to be wiped out. Ahead of Delhi elections, the same bunch of journalists told me, Sanju Verma, chahe jo bhi ho jaye, Arvind Kejriwal is in all likelihood going to come back again. And guess what? None of these journalists had a clue. Nobody had heard of, Rekha Gupta until she became the chief minister. Nobody gave Bhupendra Bhai Patel a chance in hell after he replaced Vijay Rupani. People thought, who's he? Ab to Gujarat mein 15 saal ki anti-incumbency ke baad BJP haregi. We had one of our best showings. And then ahead of Haryana elections, they said, who's this Nayab Singh Saini who replaced Khattar in only March 2024? Ahead of a few months, elections were held in October 2024. Ab to BJP gayi. Hum Haryana bhi jeet gaye, Maharashtra bhi jeet gaye, Delhi bhi jeet gaye. And these journalists had a nice big fat omelette on their face. But I want to tell Preeti Choudhry, one of my favorite journalists, one thing. Manisha Puram is right. Unemployment in any election should be an issue. Inflation should be an issue. And that is precisely my point, Preeti. Why is no one talking about the fact that you have had now medical colleges which are coming up in Chhapra, in Bhagalpur, in Gaya? 27% of the Vande Bharat trains originate from Bihar. 7 out of the 9 Amrit Bharat Express trains originate from or pass through Bihar. Nobody seems to be talking about the second international terminal at Patna Airport. Nobody seems to be talking about
Okay, I'm running out of time. I'm going to, I want to bring in Anshul Avijit, but it was a very well articulate diatribe against certain journalists. But these figures are not by any journalists. These are by agencies. And if you actually look at these figures by these agencies and psephologists, they are still giving an edge. They are still giving an edge to the NDA. So you can diss these. Ma'am, I'm just telling you, these figures are not by journalists. Ma'am, I don't have the time. You've had 3 minutes. You've spoken for 3 minutes. I need to bring in Anshul Avijit. All I'm just saying is these figures are not by journalists. These figures are by psephologists.
So please give me a chance for next 10 seconds. These are not by journalists, but I'm talking about journalists who have a big role to play in molding the narrative. And I need to call out their bluff.
Ma'am, I'm just telling you, we are only detailing some of the figures that have been brought in by psephologists and agencies. Ma'am, sorry?
Why have we got to talk about Rahul Gandhi in flattering terms all the time? He makes a charge.
Ma'am, 1 second. I don't understand who's talking in flattering terms about Rahul Gandhi right now. Of course, the figures seem to suggest he is doing better than what he was till last month. And we've had a track. Ma'am, it's not a conversation between you and I. I want to bring in Anshul Avijit into this conversation, and I want to bring up the figures. If you receive 10,000 under government scheme, how would you vote? And that should be worrying Anshul Avijit Singh. And why I say that is that this tracker was actually done before the installment of 10,000 rupees direct cash transfer was given to 75 lakh households. Look at that figure. Even before that sum has been transferred, 5.8% say they will shift their vote from the Mahagathbandhan and the others to the NDA. And 10,000 rupees, a direct cash transfer, is a sizable amount where Bihar is concerned. It swung elections in the past in other states. It could very well be the magic card here.
We don't know the outcome of that, but just look at the shamelessness of what has happened. I explain you in 3 points what the Modi government has done to our economy and why this was necessary. First, it's thrown the economy on hot coals, it's tumbling down a cliff, right? The high levels, Bihar is a case in point, which is actually the worst. The unemployment levels have peaked, right? Manufacturing is virtually over. There is no demand. Pink papers have been talking about green shoots in the economy for like years and years. There aren't any green shoots, right? Private investment is nil. There is no foreign direct investment. And this all stands true for Bihar as well, right? And the worst case is Bihar. The second point, what they have done is they have given softs to big industrialists. First, it was cutting down interest rates, reducing corporate tax, waiving off big loans, tax holidays, all kinds of sorts, selling land for a song for 1 rupee as it's done in Bhagalpur. And the final point is this compensatory nature of the state. Listen, we're going to take your jobs. We're going to give you nothing to work on. Household savings are going to be the lowest ever. But this is how we're going to buy your votes. We're going to put money in your accounts when the time comes. Look at the gross shamelessness of what has happened.
Okay, so
We
you're
don't
just
know
saying,
the
okay,
outcome.
for whatever the
and this is a
reasons I'm sure
one-time
Abhijit
payment.
might be.
What?
For whatever the reasons that might be. We've seen that it worked in Maharashtra. We've seen it's worked earlier. A direct cash transfer is very difficult to compete with, and a direct cash transfer of 10,000 rupees is that much more difficult in a state. So I have no time. I have no time. I need to close this debate on that note, and I'm actually very glad to do it. We'll come back with more figures on the other side, which will be tomorrow. We are doing another political stock exchange. Do join me then. I'm going to cut across to the latest coming in from Tamil Nadu, where 4 days after the deadly stampede that killed 41 people, TVK Chief Vijay has broken his silence. The leader expressed his pain over the incident and said that he left Karur to help de-escalate the situation. He is also asked why this tragedy happened only in Karur, practically suggesting conspiracy.
Tamizhaga Vetri Karagam Chief Vijay breaks his silence. 4 days after a stampede at his rally killed more than 40 people in Karur, the actor turned politician posted a social media message. Vijay, in a nearly 5-minute-long video, addressed the criticism directed at him. He claimed he left Karur after the stampede as he was worried his presence could lead to unfortunate incidents. Vijay added that he will meet families of victims soon.
Police sir, please help sir, please. Thank you. See you all, thank you.
The TVK chief urged the MK Stalin government to stop going after his party cadre in the stampede case.
See up, sir. உங்களுக்கு ஏதாவது இந்த பழி வாங்கணும் அப்படின்ற எண்ணம் ஏதாவது இருக்குச்சுன்னா என்ன வேணாலும் பண்ணுங்க. அவங்க மேலே கை வைக்காதீங்க. நான் ஒன்று வீட்டில் இருப்பேன், இல்லை நான் ஆஃபீஸில் இருப்பேன். என்ன வேணாலும் செய்யுங்க.
ஒரு 2 செகண்டுக்கு அப்புறம் தான் எனக்கே கேட்டுச்சு.
Vijay hinted at a conspiracy behind the stampede.
கரூர் வச்சு அந்த மக்கள் அந்த உண்மையெல்லாம் வெளியில் சொல்லும்போது எனக்கு கடவுளே நேரில் வந்து இறங்கி அந்த உண்மைகள்லாம் சொல்கிற மாதிரி எனக்கு தோணுச்சு. சீக்கிரமே எல்லா உண்மைகளும் வெளியில் வரும்.
Meanwhile, DMK MP Kannimozhi launched a scathing attack on Vijay, questioning his decision to leave the rally site mid-crisis.
People who are grieving are not, they just need people to support them, people to be there and somebody to help them, and I think that is there. Even if the party which had the rally did not reach out, I mean even the second rung leaders or the cadres are not there. I don't remember seeing one single person from that particular party, TVK, being there.
The local administration also hit back at Vijay, playing video from the rally when the stampede happened.
போலீஸ் வந்து நீங்கள் சொன்ன மாதிரி ஒரு 500 people ஸ்ட்ரென்த் போட்டிருக்காங்க கூட எந்த ஒரு மாநாடு ஆர்கனைஸ் பண்ணாலும் அந்த கட்சிக்காரங்கள் ஆர்கனைசர்ஸ் ஆல்சோ அந்த பொறுப்பு எடுத்துக்குவாங்க. வாலண்டியர்ஸ் போடுவாங்க, அவங்களே வந்து அவங்க ஆட்கள்லாம் ரெகுலேட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு ஆள் போடுவாங்க. ஸோ இனஃப் ஆஃப் வாலண்டியர்ஸ் போட்டிருந்தா கூட இதை அவாய்ட் பண்ணுறதுக்கான வாய்ப்பு இருக்கு.
An 8-member NDA delegation, including MPs Anurag Thakur and Hema Malini, visited Karur to inspect the site and meet victims' families.
We all came happily to the rally. We brought our children also. Moment Vijay happened, power went off.
இல்ல மேடம்,
அதுக்கப்புறம் பேசுங்க.
அதுக்கப்புறம் வந்து எல்லாமே தள்ளுமுள்ளாயிருச்சு. சில பேர் அந்த சைடுல கத்தியெல்லாம் கிழிச்சிட்டாங்க.
This is one complaint from lot of general public. After the commotion started, some miscreants used a knife. And they were opposite side. Miscreants were trying to create wound for people. Randomly they were doing this.
From political blame games to mounting demands for justice, Karur remains the epicenter of Tamil Nadu's political storm. With pressure growing, all eyes are now on the Judicial Commission's findings. With Apurva in Karur and Anaga in Chennai, Bureau Report, India Today.
The questions we asked this evening, actor Vijay and the Stalin government equally to blame. Who will take responsibility? Is there a clear message of negligence? Any proof to back the conspiracy theorists? Taking those questions to our two panelists, Sumansi Raman, political analyst, Kavita Muralidharan, senior journalist. Just one question to the both of you. And Mr. Sumansi Raman, let's begin with you. The video message coming in from Vijay, too little, too late? Or do you think this will somewhere down the line recast the narrative of one being persecuted?
There are two issues about the video, Preeti. One is the fact that there was no apology. There was not a word of apology, unconditional apology. He said he was deeply saddened, he was grieved, and so on. But he never said the word that he was sorry for what had happened, and he or his party at least took moral responsibility for it. That is one part of it. The second part of it is the way that he had politicized it very cleverly, saying the truth will come out very soon. And, appealing to the chief minister, saying that, don't go after my party men. If you need to go after somebody, come after me. All of which was pure politics. But what disappointed me in this audio, in this video, was really the fact that there was no unconditional apology, or even, an acceptance that his party may have made certain mistakes. And they certainly have. On the face of it, the very fact that he was 5.5 hours late is all that is on record. So that is first part. Second part, which I found even more bizarre, is you have a galaxy of senior government officials sitting and giving a press conference. Mind you, they've ordered an inquiry, commission of inquiry, under a retired judge to come up with a report. Whole of yesterday, they were saying, look, we can't comment on this, we can't comment on this, there's a commission of inquiry, they will have to come up with the report. And this evening, after Vijay's video comes out, there is the revenue secretary, there is the DGP of police, there is the ADGP, there is the health secretary, all of them queued up, standing and giving a press briefing and playing a video with background music of the incident. Would you believe it? What is the judge expected to say now? The person who's carrying out the commission of inquiry, these officials have said there was no negligence, government did a great job. Now, what do you want the commission of inquiry to say? So I'm finding it bizarre on both sides.
Kavita Muralidharan, would you want to come in? This video of actor Vijay, too little, too late, or recasting the narrative completely of a conspiracy, of persecution? Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I basically think the video is straight out of one of his film scripts. That's how he kind of, the way he positioned himself, his body language, and whatever he said. They were like, whatever I've watched many of his movies, so I know how he kind of uses his body language and all. So I think it's straight out of his film script. And as Suman pointed out, no apology, not taking up responsibility. It's a huge thing. I think this is the first time, if I'm right, a massive tragedy of this scale has happened for people who've come to see a political leader, to see someone. There has been Mahamaham tragedy. There has been, people trying to get flood relief, that kind of tragedy in 2005. There has been stampede at that time. But the people coming to see one leader and getting caught in this stampede is something that's happened for the first time. I think Vijay needs to take complete responsibility, which he's failed from. Also, 3 days after, I kind of, he need not go back to the Karur, he need not go back to Karur or meet people there, but he could have sent his second rank, third rank leaders, any district people, to meet there, to offer their condolences, offer some kind of assistance, which every political party in his place would be expected to do, which is not done that at all. So, on one part, he need not go. But what about other leaders? Why were they also not going? What was happening with the party? The one problem is I've covered political rallies like this over, I've been a journalist for 26, 27 years. So I've covered this. I know at ground level, you need a proper party structure to pull off this kind of crowd. There is one unit secretary bringing in 20, 30 people and in charge of them, making sure that they eat, drink water, or giving them some money. All this happens. I think the problem here is there's no party structure at ground level to kind of take care of,
facilitate and enable that.
Yeah. So that is a major problem, and Vijay needs to take responsibility.
I appreciate both of you for joining us. Thank you, Mr. Sumansi Raman and Kavita Dev. We're going to leave it at that. It's a story that we'd be tracking very keenly right here on India Today. I want to quickly shift focus. The US President Donald Trump today, after his meeting with the Israeli Prime Minister, Mr. Netanyahu, announced a 20-point peace proposal for Gaza. The plan, however, does not offer a Palestinian state. Here's the report.
Are you confident, sir, there'll be peace in Gaza anytime soon?
It was a moment everyone was waiting for. The fourth meeting between Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and US President Donald Trump finally paves the way for possible peace in Gaza. But how far will the plan go is to be seen. Trump and Netanyahu have agreed on a 20-point plan which proposes an immediate end to the fighting, the release of 20 living Israeli hostages, along with remains of those believed to have died. In exchange, hundreds of detained Gazans would be freed. Hamas will lay down its arms and have no role in governing Gaza. After both sides agree to the proposal, full aid will be immediately sent into the Gaza Strip and military operations will stop.
So this is a big day, a beautiful day, potentially one of the great days ever in civilization. Things that have been going on for hundreds of years and thousands of years. We're going to, at least we're at a minimum very, very close, and I think we're beyond very close. And I want to thank Bibi for really getting in there and doing a job. We've worked well together.
The 20-point plan states that Gaza would be governed by a technocratic, apolitical Palestinian committee with oversight by an international board of peace headed by Trump, and also includes former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair and other leaders.
All our hostages, both those who are alive and those who died, all of them will return home immediately. Hamas will be disarmed. Gaza will be demilitarized. Israel will retain security responsibility, including a security perimeter for the foreseeable future.
Several countries had come together last week to recognize a Palestine state, but Netanyahu denied any agreement on two-state solution. Trump, while speaking to reporters after the meeting, said the plan also includes the Arab and Muslim countries who will contribute to demilitarizing Gaza and persuading Hamas to give up arms. Trump also said if Hamas did not accept the plan, he will give Israel full backing to do what it would have to do.
Under the plan, Arab and Muslim countries have committed, and in writing in many cases, but I actually would take their word for it. The people I mentioned, I'd take their word for it, to demilitarize Gaza, and that's quickly. Decommission the military capabilities of Hamas and all other terror organizations. Do that immediately. And we're relying on the countries that I named and others to deal with Hamas. And I'm hearing that Hamas wants to get this done too, and that's a good thing.
India, along with other global leaders, welcomed Trump's plan for Gaza. The leaders praised Trump's efforts and leadership to end the war in Gaza. As hope for a new life knocks on the door of thousands of Gazans, the world hopes to see the end of a war that has ravaged the future of an entire generation. Mahashweta Lala, Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, to decoding of Trump's full plan, do tune in to my colleague Geeta Mohan show at 10:30 p.m. this evening. With that, that's a wrap on News Today, but we're going to leave you with the image of the day. The reason I'm sitting here filling in for Rajdeep is because he was in Thiruvananthapuram today receiving the Indian Media Person of the Year Award 2024 for his election coverage from the Kerala Media Academy, and he received it from Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan. We leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us.